What is up, guys? Randomodium here. This is your Week 9 Fantasy LCS analysis and prediction video. In this video, we're going to break down all the matchups for NA and EU LCS. For Week 9, I will be discussing spoilers, so this is your spoiler warning. I'm also feeling quite sick today, so I'm going to try and keep this video short. But we're at the end of the split, and this has been one of the most exciting splits I think I've ever done. It's been very hard on me from a prediction standpoint, but I've really enjoyed it. I'm really liking how competitive all the teams are in NA and EU LCS. And yeah, I've really been enjoying it as a fan, even though it's been killing me as an analyst. Also, you guys may notice in the background that I finally have something up on my wall. I finally got all of my awards and all the other stuff from the Navy framed. People always like to joke that in the military you have to have an I love me wall, and this is definitely my I love me wall. I know it might look small on the video, but I've got a lot of great stuff up here, all my medals and all my degrees that I've gotten. So yeah, that'll be my background from now on. So hopefully you guys enjoy it. But let's go into the Week 9 tier list real fast for the TLDR for the people who can't stick around for the entire video. So this week, from a team's perspective, there's not a lot of teams that I feel like are really in a great spot to go 2-0 this week. There's a lot of turmoil going on. It's looking like TSM, Fnatic, Echo Fox, Cloud9. Those are kind of your top people. Splice as well. And then from there, it's all craziness. I mean, any one of these teams could have a 2-0 week, but right now I'm predicting most of them will have a 1-1 week. But any one of these teams can break out and have a 2-0 week, which would put them up into the 30-point range. But if they go 1-1, you're looking more like the mid-20s range for all of those teams that are in green. For top lane, no surprises here. It's Echo Fox, Cloud9, G2, TSM. You see Darshan's creeping up. This is with CLG only winning one game, so Darshan's putting up a lot of points even when he only wins one game. Ruin's up there, I think, only winning one game. There's quite a few people who are able to put up quite a few points even when their team isn't doing that well. So keep your eye on those people who are kind of those high-value players. Jungle, Dardox, Venskaren, Mike Young, Yankos, Broxa, the kind of people you would expect to be near the top. But you can start seeing like CLG, Unicorns of Love, Misfits, Splice. Those type of people are still in the mix, being above average. Mid lane, Jensen's on top, followed by Phoenix and Bjergsen. Huhi also popping up really high. Huhi's been putting up a lot of points, even when CLG struggles a bit. I think last week he had an amazing amount of points. And then Perks and Caps rounding it out in the above average. But there's still some decent people in that middle range, Exile, Sencooks, Fevabin, Niski, those type of people. Bot lane, Reckles has been doing just phenomenal, just playing out of his mind. I think he's a clear contender for MVP over in EU. Altec hasn't been playing that great, but been putting up a lot of fantasy points. Sneaky, in my mind, best AD carry in bot lane and NA right now. I think he'll do well this week. Sven hasn't been putting up that many fantasy points. If TSM has a 2-0 week this week, he could put up some decent fantasy points. And you're starting to see Stixxay, Kabi, Hansama, Samex, those kind of people upset even. Even if they go 1-1, they still can do very well. I think I have Splice going 2-0, so that's points for Splice going 2-0 this week. And then support, Smoothie, Adrian, Hillisang, Mithy. And then you start seeing the other people come in. Biofrost, Mickey, Kasing, Tagama. So those type of people who I'm only predicting to go 1-1, but still should put up decent points even if they go 1-1. All right, let's go into the breakdown for the matches. So you can see lots of green. That means that the teams are most likely going to go 1-1 this week. So we see a lot of very even matchups this week across the board. The teams that look like they have the best chance to go 2-0 this week would be TSM, Cloud9, Echo Fox, Fnatic, and Splice. That said, I would expect that there's gonna be some upsets. I mean, EU LCS has just been crazy with the upsets week in and week out. It's near impossible to predict. Even though Unicorns of Love had a really rough week, I think that they're going to bounce back. I think they can at least win one of their matches, possibly two. If they win both of their matches, they will be some of the highest point scorers. But likewise, if they lose both their matches, they'll be some of the lowest point scorers. So they're definitely kind of a high-risk, high-reward team this week. Schalke put up really good points last week, but they're going up against Fnatic this week, so it's a question of whether Fnatic still looks as strong as they do in Week 9 as they did in Week 8, because of their performance in Week 8, they've pretty much guaranteed that they're the number 1 seed, so it's a question of are they going to take their foot off the accelerator going into Week 9. And then there's plenty of other teams that have been doing great. Splice has been looking phenomenal. Misfits looks like they've fallen off the edge of a cliff, so I'd be careful with those players. G2 has also been kind of struggling a little bit. Vitality looks like they've gotten their groove back. H2K has been looking decent. Even Giants has been looking decent. So I think the big thing for Giants is that they drew a really hard Week 9 going up against Fnatic and Splice, so they're going to struggle a lot. On the NA side, there's a lot of really important matchups this week, even on the NA side. EU, it's like pretty much every matchup is important. NA, there's still a lot of important matchups this week. CLG versus TSM is going to be huge. Team Liquid versus Cloud9 is going to be huge, obviously. 100 Thieves versus Clutch is probably going to be like the game of the week as far as importance is concerned. There's just a lot of really important games, even on the NA side. Even though a couple of the teams have been technically eliminated, they can still play spoiler like Optic, Guardians, FlyQuest. Those teams can still disrupt who gets in the playoffs or what order they're in the playoffs. So let's look at the risk-reward kind of stuff real fast. So you can see teams. Teams are pretty consistent, so they kind of err more towards the lower risk-reward type thing. But really, you want to kind of go after these kind of teams. TSM, Fnatic, Echo Fox, Cloud9, Splice. You still could have some luck with even Unicorns of Love, Schalke, Clutch, G2, even CLG, or Misfits for that matter. Top lane, you can see more of an average distribution as far as risk and reward is concerned. Your top point scorers are going to be Huni, Wonder, Licorice, Haunter, Soaz, those kind of people. There's still some potential for these kind of players. Ruin, Alfari, Odo, Smitty J. Darshan's pretty high up there, but also pretty low risk, showing that he's very consistent. So just keep that in mind if those type of players are available. Jungle, Dardox at the top, Svenskeren, Mike Young, Broxa, Yankos, Rainover, all kind of in that range. But you can also see that Cold and Maxlor are expected to get comparable points, and they have less variability. So that means that they're more consistent in the points that they gain. So that might be a good possibility there. Mid lane, you're looking at Jensen, Bjergsen, Phoenix, Huhi, Caps, those type of people are your top picks. But there's plenty of people that are kind of in that middle of the road. But I definitely look towards the people who are a little bit higher reward, potentially lower variability. But if you want to go for more risky picks, you can pick up, Exile, Fevman, Power of Evil, Niski, Betsy, those kind of people. Bot lane, Reckles obviously at the top, Altec. A little bit, you can see that he's not as highly rated as the other Echo Fox players, but still a very good pickup. Sneaky, Sven, Kabi, Hajarna, and Steelback. Stixay is up here, Samex. All those people are decent. Hansama, playing very consistently, is considered to be a bit lower risk. Upset, also considered lower risk, but still puts up decent points. And then you also have some really, really safe picks like Cody Sun, Apollo, Double Lift, though you might get less point output from them. Support, we got Smoothie, Adrian are kind of your best picks if you can grab them. Hillsang, Mithy, Biofrost, Kasing, Mickey, Totoro, Tagamas, Wadid, all those people are decent. Just depending on how much risk you want to go for, how much variability you want to put into your schedule. If you're going up against a tough opponent, Week 9, you might as well go for broke and try and go for something crazy and win. I'm going to go through kind of the value stuff, because as we wrap up this split, it's kind of interesting to look at who's got the most value who's got the most bang for their buck. So you can see that for the team points, if I look at like the average point column here, you can see that just about everybody is around the same. There's not that much variability for team points, which is what I would expect. You can see the Fnatic was the only team that scored, above average points, and that's because they had the best record. So because the teams were so competitive this week, or this entire split, you can see that they all kind of hover around that 20-point range, that 20 to 30-point range. But you can also see that there's a huge difference in the amount of value that you get out of different teams. So TSM, 112%. Optic, 109% on team points. Fnatic, 108%. G2, 111% on team points. Misfits, 107%. Unicorns of Love, 107%. So those are your teams that are kind of above average value, who on average are going to score more points than other teams as far as team points are concerned. If, they win one game, another team wins one game, a higher value team will get more points on average winning that one game. All right, let's look at top lane. So top lane, you can see a lot more variability here. You can see some of your top point scorers are Licorice, Huni, Wonder. Those type of people are your best bets. But Haunter, Darshan still putting up decent points, even though TSM and CLG have been struggling, above average points. Same for Alphari. As far as their actual value is concerned, you're looking at Darshan, really, really high value. Wonder, extremely high value, over 130%. And then you're also looking at Lorlo, Huni, Flame, Alphari, and Ruin are all above average as from a value perspective is concerned. Jungle, you can see again, lots of variability. In this one, Dardoch wins, hands down, highest average points out of anyone. Only person who got close to him was surprisingly Svenskeren. But there's also plenty of above average junglers in this list. You can see Reignover, Broxa, Jankos, Maxlor, Cold, all above average from a points perspective. And then from a value perspective, you can see Dardoch 120%, Reignover 123%, Contracts 111%, Jankos, Maxlor, Cold, all above 120%. So plenty of good junglers who are getting lots of value. Surprisingly, Broxa, even though he had above average points, he had below average value when compared to other people. So that's something to keep in mind. Mid lane. So we can see average points. Your top point scorers were Jensen and Phoenix for this split so far. We still got 1 week left. But you also got Huhi, Perks, Caps, Bjergsen, all above average points. As far as value is concerned, highest value was Huhi at 127%. Perks was after him, 118%. Power of Evil was at 113%. And then you've got Jensen, 109%. Bjergsen 107. So based off of this, I'd say that Jensen is probably your best bet as far as value is concerned. Actually, Phoenix is almost identical to him if you're looking at it both from an average perspective and points perspective and value perspective. Though I would say that Jensen's more consistent because he's got the lower deviation, which corresponds to a lower risk associated with him. Bot lane, average points, Reckles obviously at the top, Altec above average, and then you've got Stixxay, Sneaky, Cody Sun, Hans Sama, and Upset, all above average. From value perspective, it's actually Stixxay, highest value, 119%, Reckles 114%, Hans Sama 115%, Altec 107, and then the rest are either average or below average as far as their value is concerned. And finally for support, we've got Smoothie, Adrian, Biofrost, Hylissang, and Mickey. Those are kind of your top dogs there. As far as the value is concerned, Biofrost, highest value, 122%. Matt, Golden Guardians, 113%. Mickey, 117%. Tagamas, 114%. And then Noscarin, 104%. So you can see that who gets the highest points as opposed to who has the highest value, and not always the same, because you got to win games to get points. So you can see that some of these players, even though their teams weren't doing good, as far as their average point output was, it was actually above average. So that's basically it. This is week 9. Good luck. Have fun. I'm really happy you guys stuck around this entire split. I've had a lot of fun in my fantasy leagues. I know it's been really hard on me trying to predict this stuff. I'm hoping that I can take this information that I've gotten this split and I can carry it over to next split, assuming there aren't too many roster changes over the break. I will be doing a playoffs video discussing all of the possible ways that different teams could get into the playoffs based off of week 9. I'll try and put that out tomorrow or the next day, sometime before the week 9 matches actually happen. And then I'll be looking, at playoff videos potentially, and obviously I'll be watching all the playoffs. So definitely hit me up, especially if you are part of the Discord. Hit me up. I'm always watching games whenever I can. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. It definitely helps the channel. And I hope you guys all have a fantastic week. I hope you guys all had fun with Fantasy LCS. I hope you all have a fantastic day. This is Randomonium signing off.